Sometimes, the thing you were never supposed to love becomes the one that leaves the deepest scar in your soul, even if it grows into a tiger. A wounded tiger cub was saved by a man who had already lost everything in life. They grew up together in the forest like father and child. But one day, they were forced apart. Years later, when they meet again, neither of them is the same anymore. Deep in the forests of India, Arman, a former wildlife tracker, chose to disappear from the human world after losing his only child in a tragic accident. He never returned to the city. Instead, he lived alone in the forest, silent, broken, and far from memories that still hurt. One rainy night, while walking near a river, he heard a faint sound. A struggling growl. He followed it and found a small tiger cub, soaked in rain, injured, abandoned. He should have been afraid. He should have walked away. But he didn't. Because in the cub's eyes, he saw something familiar. Loneliness. Just like his own. Slowly, he picked the cub up, fed it, cleaned its wounds, and protected it. He named it Raka, meaning light in darkness. Days turned into months. Raka grew beside him in the wild forest. Not as a pet, not as a wild beast, but something in between, something trust had shaped. Every morning, they walked together through the jungle. Every night, they sat beside a small fire in silence. No words were needed. The bond was enough. For Arman, Raka became the reason he continued living. And for Raka, Arman became the only world it trusted. But the forest is never kind to impossible bonds. One day, illegal hunters entered the area. They were armed. They were searching for tigers. They found Raka. Arman panicked. For the first time in years, he screamed. They ran. In the chaos, Arman pushed Raka away to save it. But he was captured, taken away from the forest. And Raka disappeared into the wild. Years passed. Arman did not return to the forest. He was forced back into the city, but he never truly lived there. Every place felt wrong, as if he was passing through a world that no longer felt his. He survived, but he did not live. People spoke around him, but their voices felt distant, like echoes underwater. At night, sleep never came easily. When it did, it always carried the same image, a small tiger cub sitting beside a dying fire, looking at him without fear. Sometimes, he would wake up convinced he heard footsteps outside his window. Slow, heavy, familiar. But every time he checked, there was nothing there, only silence and distance. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Raka was no longer a cub. It had grown into a full-grown tiger. Strong, silent, feared by other animals. It ruled its territory alone, avoiding humans completely. But even in its strength, something was missing. There were moments when it would stop in the middle of the forest, staring at nothing for a long time, as if waiting for a voice that never called again. On stormy nights, Raka would return to the river where it was once found. It would sit there for hours, unmoving, as if trying to understand a memory it could not fully grasp. Neither fully animal, nor fully human in feeling, but something in between. One day, Arman reached his breaking point. He could no longer live as a shadow of himself. So he returned to the forest, not as a ranger, not as a rescuer, but as a broken man searching for something he could no longer name. As Arman walked deeper into the forest, memories came back in fragments: laughter beside the fire, the soft sound of a small tiger breathing beside him, and the unbearable silence that followed after it was gone. His hands trembled, not from fear of the wild, but from the weight of remembering something he had tried so hard to forget. Every step felt like he was not entering the forest again, but entering his own past that had been waiting for him all along. The forest had not changed, but he had. Every step deeper into the trees felt heavier, like the past itself was pulling him back. Until finally, he stopped. The air changed. The forest went silent. And then he felt it. A presence. Not seen. Not heard. But deeply known. Slow footsteps moved through the shadows. And two glowing eyes appeared between the trees. Arman stood still. He did not run. Because he already knew. "Raka," he whispered. The tiger stepped forward slowly. No aggression. No fear. Only recognition. It stopped in front of him. For a moment, neither moved. Then slowly, the tiger lowered its head and pressed it against Arman's chest. Like something lost returning home. Like time never truly breaking what once existed. Some bonds are not meant to last forever in presence, but they never disappear in meaning. Even separation cannot erase what was once deeply shared between two souls. And sometimes, what we save ends up saving us more than we ever realize. If something you once loved and lost came back after years changed, stronger and untamed, would you still recognize the bond or only see the danger?